Hi everyone, welcome to another art video being shot from my car. We're going to pick a limited color palette first off. 2 warms, 2 cools. We're going to experiment with 4 different layouts and compositions. We will use rhythm, prior knowledge to create a structure. Make sure you have lights, mediums, and darks in your color palette. This video is called Planning a Path for the Eye. So this is a great book by Mr. Payne about how to paint. I want you to go ahead and start by picking 4 compositions you're going to try. In your journal, go crazy. You're going to go ahead and create 4 different spaces, 4 thumbnails where you're going to create abstract compositions that you can use in your art. I started off with radiating lines. Gotta love the converging lines. Notice how I'm making a space for my text. Experimenting with triangles and progressive rhythm. Forgot to pick my colors. These are my cools, lights, mediums, and darks of blues and purples, lights, mediums, and darks of yellows, some yellow, green to shake it up. You need to think about what's visually heavy in your color palette. I'm starting off with the blue that has a lot of black in it, and I'm making sure it's balanced. There's an even amount throughout. Then I'm creating contrast with the yellow to blue. Warm versus cool, and I have progressive rhythm going out. So I'm have my different focal points, thinking about how the eye is going to move throughout the page, and I'm making sure I have an even amount of lights, mediums, and darks. Now, I really recommend, if you have a pen, to go ahead and layer in some hatching, cross hatching, and kind of think about how can I make different areas of my composition heavy so my eye comes into the focal point with those radiating and converging lines and then moves around. So I'm throwing that weight in outside, have that progressive rhythm, pulling the eye out, and looking at another focal point that's equally as heavy. Throwing in some repetition of shapes to create some regular basic rhythm in the background and more unity. All right, here we go. An S curve, I think, is a great composition, making a light S. And then that's where my text is going to go. I think I'm going to have my focal point be that big space right there, that big yellow and blue circle. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to have my intense colors all the way around. I'm going to pull the eye around in an S. So my eye's going to enter the composition at the focal point. And then I am planning the movement in an S shape, right? So the eye gets enticed, and then it has this journey, this roller coaster of the eye to go through. So I know my brush strokes with my watercolor and my marker work are going to be curvy, but then I'm going to go ahead and make sure I have an even amount of weight, adding in those mid-tone values to make it have equal weight, right? And making sure the eye can breathe, right? So the S ends up being the lighter values because that is the roller coaster that my eye's going to go in. Adding in some cross hatching, thinking that could be small regular rhythm in the background. That regular rhythm juxtaposing with the curvy lines kind of creates visual excitement. All right, picking another type of composition. Which one do I go with now? I'm trying to pick an opposite one that has a strong focal point. Tunnel. Okay, so for the tunnel, obviously the end of the tunnel is going to be the focal point, and we're thinking kind of like a 1-point perspective hallway, right? So the eye is being sucked into this tunnel. Common in Van Gogh's Café de la Terrace. Got my converging lines to be the end of the room. Now I have my lights versus my darks. And I know those are going to be the focal points. It's going to be really heavy. I have contrast in the middle, contrast at the top, contrast at the side. And then I'm slowly going dark to light as I'm coming out of the tunnel. Thinking of the end of the tunnel as a light source. Making a lot of my lines going towards that focal point. Planning my brush strokes. Experimenting with some curvy, squiggly lines. And then I'm getting ideas. Notice how the compositions are speaking to each other. And I'm realizing, oh my gosh, I got to bring more stuff in. Last one, triangle and 3-spot. I combined 2 compositions, basically focal point, focal point, focal point. And then I got to figure out where is my biggest focal point going to be, right? And then I'm going to have my text, visually balanced, be on the outside. Repeating shapes going from my different visual reference points, top to the bottom, right to left, making sure I have an even balance of warm and cool colors. And then I'm juxtaposing, adding that regular back and forth rhythm grid in the background to kind of go against my diagonal vibe. And that and then I'm throwing in some alternating rhythms. So yellow, white, getting some checker pattern, which helps to create unity and cohesiveness around all of the different focal points. Obviously, all these focal points can be texts, and they can be like different visual metaphors. That is the video, guys. Oh my gosh, that went so fast. Have fun. It took me 45 minutes to do that. So go ahead, explore different layouts, and you can apply this to any of your project work. Path for the eye. Create a path for the eye. Good homework. Look at other paintings and ask yourself, what is the Edward Payne composition that this artist used? Because all of the artists use these. It comes from a painting book. Okay, talk too long. Bye.